Yep, I see that. Good to go?
Good to go.
Good to go. Good afternoon, everyone. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and the notice has been printed at Town Hall. The next public meeting was what, the 18th?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, right? So welcome everyone to the capital portion of our budget meetings. This is the second time I think we've been on Zoom with our 2021 capital. Welcome to the March 11th capital budget portion of our budget meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cannon,
Here.
Councilman Hirsch,
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Here.
Councilwoman Montone,
Here.
Councilman Swindell,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Here.
Mayor Taglerini.
Here, thank you very much. Let's take just a quick moment of silence, just your own personal intentions at this point. And we'll do a quick salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The
of
flag of the
the States
United
of America, to the republic for which it stands, one
Nation,
under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes. So just to give a quick follow up, everyone should have received, I hope, the updated sheets. I know I heard there's some troubles trying to get it to everybody, but we do have an updated copy here. All department heads that need to be on or may need to be on are here. Our DPW director is trying to get here, but right now we have a emergency with a gas leak on Andover Road right now. So she's over there waiting for natural gas to get there. So we'll try to put that towards the end, or I'll try to answer as much as I can at this moment in time when we get to her. And what I'll do is I'll start it first with Angela, and she can kind of go over a little bit of what you're looking at and some things that we're going to be doing, and then we'll start going down the chart.
Okay, Mayor, I did send you the PDF
Yes.
file. So, okay,
Yes, thank you, Angela.
so this is just a more detailed outlook of what we had presented in the original booklet with the budget, especially as far as the roads are concerned.
Angela, I could barely hear you.
Okay, this is a more detailed worksheet of what was in the original booklet, which was from the budget meetings that we had originally under the capital section. We did change a couple of things as far as the roads were concerned. We itemized the specific roads. We estimated the exact amount of the down payments that we'll be putting on. Parks and playgrounds, as far as parks and playgrounds are concerned. Everything else, I think, really is the same. The numbers may be a little different because we got more accurate amounts for some of the items. I did also look more into the MCIA financing, and it looks like it could work, even though we wouldn't be totally closed on the MCIA financing until July or August. We can actually introduce a resolution where we would be able to use the monies. And I know you're specifically interested in parks and playgrounds and the playscapes and benches and things of that nature. So we would be able to use those funds prior to actually closing on any county funding. The second item is that it is only a 10-year loan. The interest rates would be lower because the county has a higher credit rating than each individual municipality. And I think that's it.
Any questions on that part?
Sorry?
No, I just asked if anyone had any questions on what you went over so far. Then if we want, we just go right down the pages here that we got. first one is our roads. And first one is to continue with Cliffwood Avenue. And that is a grant that we do have, which is for 270,000. And then we would need to put towards that 130,000. And that would be from Route 35 to the beginning of South Concourse. That portion. Our reconstruction roads, we have, and again, I want to thank the roads committee. Anthony, our engineer, we did meet this morning and to finalize everything one more time. We've been going back and forth for a while, but I think it was a great meeting this morning to finalize everything. But we're looking at Ardmore, Asbury, and Iona. And then we would be doing Millen Paves with Anthony, CME Anthony will be going over all that. And we're looking at doing Gaston, Highfield, Girard, and Sunnybrook. And that would be the roads program for 2021. Any questions on, I'm sorry.
To answer that, Brian?
I was just saying, is there any
The committee
questions?
meeting?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so just to fill you guys in a little bit more on the committee meeting, obviously the A section is an area of significant need. Based upon what the Parks Committee told us and the general ordinary capital budget of the town that the department heads need for their individual operations, we really have about $3.5 million. So Asbury is about $800,000. Iona Place is about $700,000. That's 1.5. Ardmore, which is probably the worst road in the town at this, well, at least the worst, definitely the worst Strathmore Road, but there's some arguments you can make about Ridge or some other places in Cliffwood, is probably the worst Strathmore Road at this point, and that's about $1.2 million. So that takes us to 2.7. And the additional $800,000 is about the amount we leave in for the mill and overlays. When we, those usually come in around 500,000-600,000, and then we always find something during the year that we need to take care of. And we usually have that cushion. So that's what I worked on with Anthony and Brian this morning. And we think that that gets us movement forward in the A section. Don't forget, we also have Cortland coming up and our 2020 roads that will be put together. So that includes County, Cliffwood Avenue, as well as Cortland. That will be done in the spring. And then these will ultimately be done in the fall, or more likely in the spring of 2022. So that's what we found. We also asked the engineer, because as you all know, and our biggest fear on the road program coming up, or since we bid off Cortland, now the biggest one is the $3.4 million for Andover, which also is probably one of the worst roads in the town. And we really, that's well above the threshold we kind of set in the D section of around $2 million for each particular portion, because we can't do anything else. At 3.4, I just told you at 3.5, right? So that leaves us no money to do anything else. So we asked the engineer to divide Andover in reasonable chunks. By doing Asbury, we could actually do 1/3 of Andover next year out of the Lloyd Road side, or by leaving that side open and getting down to autumn, we can come from the Lloyd Road side, which is the worst side, and it was subject to some patching, and start to bite that off piece by piece. So really, you could do a 1/3 of Andover with our budget. You could do 1/3 of the way it stays at 3.5. You could do 1/3 of Andover and do one of the remaining 2 sections of the D section in the same year if we divided it that way, which provides us significantly more flexibility and probably allows us to get around the A and D sections, maybe like up to 2 years faster. So that's what we were working on this afternoon. That ultimately starts, our biggest issue is we got to get out of the middle of the D section so we can get to Andover. So we're focusing on that this year, and going back to the I section, which hasn't been addressed in some time. And then the C section will get there First Street, and then we'll come back for Chilton over there. So that's kind of the, right now we have it all down other than the 2 remaining D sections. Everything else on the list is less than $1.7 million at this point, which means that we can just start checking them off year by year. And then as many years as go by that we can fit into the budget, they'll be all done. I don't hesitate to guess how long that would be, but I can probably affirmatively say at this point that that won't be longer than 8 years to get rid of the rest of the original Strathmore roads. So we're inside a decade now, which is great.
The other thing that I'm not sure if Greg brought out, and you have to excuse me because some of the meds are starting to kick in. This is without doing any adverse effect on the tax rate or putting an additional burden on the taxpayers. We're able to continue with this $3.5 million a year in the investment into our infrastructure, which is way overdue. It was a great meeting. I do, Greg, and I'm really glad that we were able to figure out how to break up Andover into manageable chunks without extending this thing out another longer than the 8 years. I'm feeling a little bit more confident that we've done in less than 8 years, but and I think it can be done if we can continue on the same route that we've been going on. Based on some quick calculations that I did this morning, I think we could probably, after our meeting, I think we can probably be done for 6.5, 7 years and have all the roads done in town. But again, it depends if we can stay on this track that we're on right now. That's all I would to add.
I have a question on a personal note. I know I heard Brian giving out the names of the streets, and I heard Greg talking about the D section. Last year, when I questioned the D section, I was told by Sandra that the bids came in too late last year, so nothing got done there. And there's that one part that it's like a war zone, and I didn't hear Brian talk about it. We were told last year that section was going to get done in 2022, and that's from Sandra, who I thought was, kind of leading the charge of where things need to go. But again, I heard Greg talking about it, but I didn't hear, Brian mention it. So I was just
What we've
curious.
typically done, Chief, is so the A and the D are our biggest areas of need. So we've basically the last 4 years, we flipped back and forth between the A and the D. So we'll do a quarter of the D, and then we go over to the A, and we did Avondale. Then we came back to the D, and then went back to the A, and we did Ambler. And so, I'm sorry, the reverse. First we did Avondale, then we came to the D, A,
Right.
D. And so this is an A year. And then next year, I believe we're going to go back and do the third section of the D section. At least that's the number one on my list for next year. But we've typically put back and forth. Look, I can't speak for the director.
Right.
I mean, we pay for the roads, so, and the engineers.
Right.
And
I just thought that it was, when like I said,
and that is indeed partially true, because there was a year that was actually the D sections actually was a year behind because it didn't get done till the spring, because the engineering did come in late the year that the second section of the D section was done. So part of that information is indeed correct, but the third section hasn't been funded. It's still, we left with the D section. Then our biggest other problem, long story short, when they get up near $2 million, it's very, very hard to do anything else. So each section of the D is 2, and then the C section, we went over there, and now we're back to A and D, and hopefully flip back and forth 2 more years, and they're all done.
But you can understand my concern when she told me that, the reason nothing got done last year is the bids came in too late. So when she said, looking towards 2021, I just assumed that I would hear that coming out of Brian's mouth that I was going to get done.
Well, you weren't here at the budget meeting last year, but I spend most of my day dispelling those kinds of misinformations about when public infrastructure projects are going to occur. So wouldn't be an uncommon circumstance. You wouldn't be the only resident that I've had to talk to about something that's not happened. But that's probably another discussion for another day outside this capital budget.
I understand that. That's why I said it on a personal note. But my other thing, though, is, and my concern is that if any council member drove down there, they would see what my concern is. I think that if we are pushing to 2022, I think the DPW needs to get over there then.
Well, the last director sent them over into the intersections, as you'll recall, to stop the water from leaking in there. But we that has not been scheduled to date.
Right. So, all right.
I know. I ride my bike through there. I ride past your house. Also,
I'm on
exactly what it is.
Deerfield all the time.
If the DPW keeps up with the with the craters, I don't think that we would have much of a problem. But like I said again, I've yet to see him. I know the weather just broke, So I don't expect miracles, but I think that they're gonna have to, come over at some point.
I'll look into it, chief.
Frankly, it was supposed to be after short concourse. That's when we were supposed to go over raise it again the last time, because Brady did it years ago. And then after we did short concourse, you know how we did the triangle? That's when we were supposed to go back and do the intersection and the D section again, right, Margaret? And that never happened. So along with a lot of other things that I explained to residents as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that I would love to have that conversation at a different time.
I mean, we had that contingency for that 800,000 was an accident because, I mean, well, I've been here for 12 years, so most of you people know that I don't really take no for an answer when I want to do something. So that 800,000 is that we can get ESSO to come in there and do the intersections at any time, probably for somewhere under the bid threshold for the QPA. So believe me, I know what it is over there, Chief, and so we didn't forget about it, regardless of what obstacles we may or may not hit.
Well, that's exactly what I was just going to say, Greg, is we may be able to take some of that $800,000 that we pay him off for milling and overlay and move some of it around to fix some of the really bad areas in the D section, get those knocked out.
I think some of it has to go to the side of Norwood as well.
I know exactly how you feel about the road, Deerfield, because it is horrendous, and it's probably falls right behind Ardmore that we're going to be doing this year. And Ardmore is about half the cost of Deerfield when you get right down to the numbers. I think that's what we need to do, Brian, is move some of that $800,000, make sure that we fix some of the really bad areas.
Well, I think that's the junction. So the sides in Norwood. There's a number of places in Midnight Point over in Cliffwood Beach that could really just use some TLC, towards the beach and DPW yard. I think that 800, what we usually do is we usually allocate stuff for particular roads that we really need to do. Old Mill and Overlay. And we have some of those like Sunnybrook and the ones that are like fully deteriorated. And then we usually have a couple $100,000 left that Anthony uses with the contractor for change orders to go around town and fix the places that, oh my God, we have to fix this now kind of thing by the end of before the next winter comes. So I know the D section intersections was it's been on my list for 4 years, let alone now. The sides of Norwood, when you enter from Lloyd Road, are coming apart. We've repaired those before and they need to be repaired. If Norwood's probably going to wait a year or two. So those need to be done. And in Midnight Point, there are places that are terrible particularly on Ridge Road and on Laurelhurst. There's some craters. So we need to, that it isn't just like, the guys with the hot patch. So there's some spots that I think that we should put the 800 towards that, or a portion of it.
Now,
The best we can do at this point, because it just is what, it is what it is.
Since we had the conversation with Anthony this morning, and now he knows what we're looking at and what he has to handle, I'll be following up with him to go over those roads and what he thinks the estimates would be out for our bid, so then we can kind of restructure some of our numbers for other areas too that aren't named. Because remember, we also, and as I talked to Angela and I told you guys since I came here last year, when we do the capital, that it's that the definitions also are for various road improvements, so we can change things around if we want to change, take one road, but then switch so we can add something else to it, even though it's not named. That's why I have it done that way, so we can, if we see an emergency or something needs to get fixed, we can move into that as well. So, the process.
The other thing I want to, I'm sorry, Brian. The other thing I want to point out is that, and this obviously, look, things. We talk about things and then they come up again later. And today it came up again, right? So if we had appropriately coordinated with utilities on Girard Avenue, we wouldn't be back on Girard Avenue again, right? We could have had them do it at a lower cost through the utility paving. And so like that never happened. And by the time I drove over it enough times to realize that no one was paying attention and called Dan Mason at the time, like it was too late. But that Englewood is not, and so that's still over there. And I'm not paying to pave Englewood again. So whether the gas company needs to come and do it, it's 60 degrees outside. And so like, those are the things that I'm more concerned about, like staying up on the utility repairs, is because like now, like, you know, we're talking about pinching pennies to try to figure out how to get back to the D section when we're going to pay $100,000 to go out and redo the other half of Girard that was done 2 years ago because no one called the gas company. So that's my issue, is that these, like, I'm not going to do this and then eat my own tail because no one can make a call. The utility repairs we have to be on top of it. And Englewood, it's been 1.5 years since we had this discussion, and there's still a huge cut down the middle of our brand new road, and they're still not back here with still cones out there. So I don't know who's in charge of that, but it just popped up again right now. This year we spent $120,000 that we probably could have got for 80 if New Jersey Natural Gas was called for Girard Avenue 2 years ago. So, you know, that's my bigger concern, is like, there's things that we can do that can make this go faster, but not if people aren't going to make the phone calls and coordinate with the utilities and make sure that we do economy of scale on it.
So for Englewood, I have my contact with natural gas when we met last June, when they had to go in there and cut, and that they would redo that. And I think the mayor was on that call with me, or one of those calls with Amy, that she did say that they would be refixing that road. It would most likely be this spring after, you know, the fall and of course now the weather that we just had. So I will stay on top. I will stay on top with her.
But here's the other thing too, Brian. So I'll give you the history. That's why I brought this up. So they agreed to do it curb to curb. And so when they say repair, they're going to, you know, whatever they're going to do, that's the follow-up. That's the detail part of the work that I'm talking about, is that when they show up there with the trucks and they start milling only half the road, someone needs to be on top of that, you know, and it hasn't been today, because Girard Avenue, you can drive it. I'm sure you come here from the Parkway and get off 117, you drive it every day. You drive off you drive home on a paved road and then home on potholes. And so that's this kind of detailed work that's costing us these little, they're not a lot of some money, but it's enough that adds up over time. It's enough to do Iona over the last few years. So, I mean, that's my biggest concern with this whole process, is I think we have it figured out now with the puzzle pieces, but like, I can't call every day. I can't call the gas company. I'm just a councilman. So that's where I'm at on it.
And like I said, I'm going to take care of that. I'll have an answer for you next, for Thursdays, for our next meeting when I see you guys again. I'll have a call out to them to double check everything. But I believe when I had that conversation, and that's when my face is turned. I was trying to find the email, but I don't want to waste time. But I believe with the email and the meeting that we had, it was going to be curb to curb again, because it was previously paved, and they had, it was their issue that they had to come back in there. And I think that was the fight that me and the mayor did kind of have with them, that they would have to go curb to curb. They couldn't just do their traditional, only have to cut open the one side, because this was already pre-done and taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mayor.
Good. In the same tone and idea, let's try to also write our bonds a little bit more vague than saying we're doing Ardmore Street or we're doing Asbury, because we find ourselves sometimes in the middle of the summer coming back amending bonds, which is sometimes making us lose a couple of weeks being out there. So we have to get a little sharper and keener in the way we're writing our road bonds.
Right,
So
the various roads, because we may have, we may have to pit something in. We have the money because a bid came in lower, and we can go someplace else, and we know it's on the hit. We got to get it. That's why I asked, same thing. That's why I said it will be done as a various roads improvements.
Right, that's right. So that would hopefully help Councilman Cannon and Hirsch, because they have other ideas, and if there are monies left over, the money's there and available at that time. Okay, so that's a good point. Thank you for being on top of that, Brian.
No problem.
And while I have, and let me just thank our roads committee for an incredible job once again. And I thank you so very much for putting this together for us today. Great job.
Yeah, it was a good meeting. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna go on to Parks and Playground. So Jim is on. If Jim wants to just kind of go down the list there, and we'll move on from there.
Sure. Why don't we talk about first the fields and the playgrounds that we're going to do, and so that's Cambridge, Ross, and Midland. There have been some alterations, and Brian, maybe you can talk just a little bit about what those were going to be for the parks on Cambridge, Ross, and Midland Park. the rec committee with the mayor, we went out and took a look at Midland specifically and what has to be and what could be done over there to spruce it up a little bit. I did meet with the tree service and they're going to be sending us a quote on what it's going to be to take care of those trees that overshadow the basketball court because of all that slippery condition. We looked at the poles. Those poles actually belong to JCP&L. So we'll be contacting them to see what involvement it is to take care of the poles and the lights through them. And then we'll make sure that that gets done. Cambridge Park, with the stairs, the fencing, and the playground. Brian, do you have that number? Because unfortunately, I
Yeah,
don't have the-
I'll go through that. I have the list right in front of me. So
Okay.
Cambridge, we're going to do the stairs and drainage and the fencing for that park. That was one of our main parks to do this year, but unfortunately, we were not awarded the open space grant from the county this year. So we're going to do a little bit of do some of the major issues over there, which was the drainage and the stairs were falling apart, and the one side closer to going to the far side by the school, and of course the fencing over there is kind of falling apart. So we were going to handle that for Cambridge. Midland Park, again, it's a resurfacing 2 continuous basketball courts, striping, hoops and nets and standards, sidewalks to connect the safety surface, drainage with mulch. Jim talked about the tree trimmings, and an omni net or similar structure with timber ties for the curbings. Ross Field, which is going to be our main park for this year, which if you've noticed, it has a lot of stuff going on that needs to be fixed there. That's going to be replaced to play equipment and swing set, resurface and color code basketball court, construct drainage improvement, stabilization near the basketball court off of Cliffwood Avenue, and provide tables and benches and a walkway to the play area. And I think we're set on that one as well.
Yeah. I think
Brian,
for
I
the
have a
play-
question.
Yes, yeah, Lauren. Yes, Lauren. Councilwoman.
A couple of questions. One, I just want to make a statement first. As far as Cambridge Park, what we're going to be doing over at Cambridge Park, so that my fellow councilmen are aware, is we're not doing something as a fix that when we come in and do the whole park is going to have to be redone again. It's going to be done in conjunction, thinking about the whole park being redone. This will kind of be the first phase of it to correct something that we think needs to be done immediately, but work into the plan for the whole park renovation. When we talk about Ross Field, I just want to clarify, it was I was under the impression that the basketball courts there were being totally redone, not just resurfaced. So can you just, is your wording mean the same thing and I'm just hearing it differently, Brian, or?
I said it as resurface, but I also had it for reconstruction. But let me just, as soon as we're done here, I'll make one phone call to the engineer just to double check because that actually needs a reconstruction because of the earthquake.
It does. Resurfaced is not going to do it.
So I'll just double check the wording and make sure that I'm right. You know, because right underneath it I have construct of the drainage at the basketball court. So let me just confirm that, and I'll report back for that one.
And the one last thing I have to mention is Midland Park. And once again, you did say the basketball courts there are going to be totally redone, right? I don't know if we're resurfacing or reconning that, but I thought it had to be recon too.
She uses resurface. Let me confirm that is a resurface for her just a layover, or is it a pull out, everything out and total destroy it and then redo it? So let me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're right, because let me get her right definition.
Yeah, Councilwoman Montone is correct. At the meeting at the park, it was discussed that it would be a total recon at Ross, at Midland. And we also have to discuss that the Fordham resurfacing did not hold over the winter. So either that's going to have to be a recon, but I'm going to leave that in your hands, Brian, in spring as a resurface, or put that in when we're doing all the other courts. But Fordham didn't hold up. I don't know if Jimmy has an update on the company that did that for us.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I spoke with Andy when we first found out about it way back when, and he did come out and they will honor it. They're going to come back out when the weather is more stable and take care of that problem.
All right, but I really think we have to have Julie look at it again too. If
Okay.
I'm trying to actually get an answer before the end of the meeting here, actually.
Yeah,
We're trying to get
we,
the full
we
answer.
might think recon there too, but thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking into that, and I'll be following the basketball court situations very closely on this one, because we do have many basketball courts in town, and they are widely used. So I want to make sure that everything is great, and it should be a one-time, and so we don't have to come back for many years to come to make sure we get it done. Because I think we all agree that if especially for me, when I saw the craters at Ross, and kids still use that court, it's crazy. So we will. We're on top of that one. So I agree with you, Mary. I know and committee, I know we all talked. It was definitely a recon. Just hoping that it's just how Julie names it in her report. But I'm already trying to get the answer on that one.
And let's define when we say fence at Cambridge, it is the fence closest to the school. in the
Correct.
road.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That'll-
Oh, yeah. No, and I have the drawings on that one because I had to review that too with her. And it's going to be the whole length there. Correct.
Because we'll probably address fencing on Lloyd Road when the county comes in and does Lloyd Road over again and lines up Ivy Hill with the driveway. There's a lot going on on Lloyd Road. So to put something in there new right now would not be the proper time. So the fences between the school, the driveway, and the ball field, that fence that goes along the back end. So just to be clear, but yeah, let's follow up on those playgrounds and.
Yeah, if I can get an answer before we end here, I will give it to you guys. Waiting
Thank
here.
you, Brian.
Jim, you can continue if you like.
Okay, the dump truck for the guys, right now they're driving I'm not sure what it is, but it's a mason dump. It's well past its useful life, but they're using it. It's broken down more than it's in use. We're constantly having to borrow from DPW another truck, and if they need it, then they've been driving around a pool car to put garbage in. So with that said, I think it's very important that the guys have a truck that they can rely on with a hitch so that they can do their job properly.
Hey, Jim?
Yes.
And I'm not disagreeing with the dump truck. Angela, I don't see anything on the newest spreadsheet that
Oh,
has any
yes, it's all the
meetings.
way to the right. It's under the MCIA. column.
Ah, thank you. Thank you
Okay,
for clarification.
Thank you.
Okay.
That first too.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
We're good. Okay. The park riders, those are to put underneath the existing and future park signs with Aberdeen Township on it. Mowers. These are for the guys for especially when they're doing something outside what the landscapers don't get to, or if there's an emergency that they have to go out and do a field or whatever it may be, especially at the seawall. That we have our own mowers that they're going to be able to utilize to do work that they need to do. The outsize hose bib for down at Veterans Park at the spray park, that's very, very important, only because a lot of people come in off the beach, they're full of sand, they go into the bathroom, they go into the spray park, and it fills the place with sand. So by putting a hose bib out there, and someone being there, they're going to be able to wash their legs off and not bring sand into the bathrooms and into the spray park area. Bleachers for Just Eye. We had to take them out. They were in such disrepair. We couldn't even repair them or have parts brought in. So we had to remove them. So those are to replace the bleachers that were at the small field at Just Eye. Any questions?
Just one question, and I don't,
Just for a minute, are we doing anything about the roof of the slip bar?
Yes, we'll be doing work on that for this spring. Correct.
Oh, we are. Okay, good.
Yep. No, I haven't forgotten our conversation from last fall, but yes, it's our, and we have the list. We have everything we need to do. That'll be a project for this spring to take care of and handle. Oh, yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Nope, no problem. Mayor?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the proper place, so correct me, please, because it could be elsewhere in this capital. We had a rough winter, and let's hope it's over. And of course, large controversy on people not doing sidewalks. I know that we had some preliminary talks about hiring people next year on standby and getting this walk shoveled when the residents won't do it or can't do it for whatever reason, age, disabilities. We have to be understanding. Jimmy, would this part of the budget or elsewhere, would a snow blower come into effect?
Yeah, well, we did get two that we were able to use, and they are, as you can see, this year they were widely used, and it was just a matter of, the guys got out there as quickly and as fast as they can, but if it was a day later, by the time they got out there, the next day, it already rained or froze, and then it makes it that much more difficult to get through with the snow blowers. But we do have two snow blowers specifically for our department that they have been utilizing since actually, I think the second snowstorm that we've had. And they're in charge of making sure that the sidewalks anywhere in front of the parks are all done and taken care of. Again, the seawall is a whole different animal. They get out there as soon as they can, but it's quite intense. It's quite, and especially if it freezes over, it's a big labor. And most of the time they're out there chipping ice because they can't get through it with a snowblower.
Okay, so the question though, which I probably did not ask properly, is under what jurisdiction would resident sidewalks fall under? Is it because we still need a policy meeting on that?
That would fall under more DPW.
Okay.
The parks guys are they handle town hall for us, luckily, the community centers, and then the sidewalks around the parks. And then as they grow, hopefully they'll be able to take over the parking lots at the parks once once they get a little bit better fleet. Because like I said, right now the one truck they have is we hope it keeps on going. I just transferred a vehicle over, so they had another vehicle just to get their crews around, because they were using one of the fleet cars. But yeah, that was something we still have to address. If when
DPW,
I take it over, that we would be through DPW, which we were planning and starting on before we had the snow, and then we actually got some warm days and rain that kind of melted more stuff off than needing to get there.
okay, we're gonna ask Sandra that, or is Angela?
Yeah, if everybody's okay, we can turn the page and I'll have Sandra go over her stuff here.
Terrific. We have planning and zoning on us.
Brian, is it okay that I sign off, or do you need me to stay on?
You're okay, Jim. I know you're actually out on medical right now, so I appreciate you just jumping on today.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jim.
Sandra, are you there? I think that you were on the one line.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm out here. Oh, yeah, I'm on the site right now in the field. We had an issue with one of the under drains on Andover Lane, so we just had uncovered some gas mains that were not marked. So we're waiting for the gas company to come up so we can continue the repair. So bear with me for a minute if you don't hear me that well. Okay, so on my end, we have 3 items in there. One is the HVAC system, which is about 17,000. This is a continuation of what we have been started in the past 3 years with getting all these units at Town Hall upgraded. There is a few units that are still to be replaced. We'll still have some issues with the heat pumps. So all of those items must be addressed. As of right now, I'm guessing we probably are up to 95% of our system upgraded to a nice level of comfort. I have asked the HVAC contractor to provide me with a report so that I know exactly what we have left to do, and we can do that next year. This is an ongoing project that started, since I've been here. So that's for that. The other item here is the town hall exterior and interior. This is mainly the courtroom, the upgrades to town hall, the smaller court, the conference room as you come into the main entrance to the building to your left, closest to the PD, that little courtroom, I'm sorry, conference room. So that is an ongoing project. I believe the manager has provided the council with some paperwork that we got from the architect regarding, draft and the design of the improvements that we're looking for at the courtroom. We had some additions to it, to the courtroom improvements, including, I believe, the TV that is required, as a lot of these inmates are basically on the cells, in another facilities, and they need to, be observed when they are in court. So that's a request that we have from the court office. And the last item in there is, which I don't know if it was added or shown in the one packets that each of you have, but it is the generator connection for the DPW. What we did was we salvaged one of the generators from one of the pumping stations, especially I believe came from the one on Cliffwood off of Greenwood. And I basically built in a little enclosure for it, and we are refurbishing so that we can do the connection to the building. I believe this is the only building that doesn't have a generator as we speak right now. So when power goes, we're pretty much done. There is no internet, there is no phone lines, there is no lights, the mechanics cannot operate, or any of the apparatuses. So the connection will be just a connector from the building that allows the entire building to be powered by this generator that we salvaged from another station, and that's about 25,000. Those are the three items in the list.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to add to your
And
sheet.
I didn't see that on the original list, Sandra, but basically it's improvements to the building that houses the generator.
No, it is called an electrical connector. The connector basically is an what do I say? Imagine a big plug that is installed on the outside wall of the building, right? And the wiring that has to be to that connector, so that when the power goes off and we plug in the generator, it is able to power, the lights,
Okay.
the computers, that kind of stuff.
And
Similar
that's
to the generator you have. I'm sorry.
And that's 25,000.
Yes, the connector. Yes.
So if everyone remembers, we actually had the courtroom renovations in the 2020 capital when COVID came, and we didn't know what was really going to go on with our fundings going through, and kind of, figuring out what we were going to do. We actually decided to pull that from our list, just to play safe on what we were going to be handling. So I want to put this back on and get this finished. Sandra did get me digital, digital architectural plans that I'll be shooting out to everybody, so you can start taking a look at it. And then we can have another, or if the mayor would like to put together a committee to just finalize some of that stuff, and then we can then move forward with the architect and then the bidding process. But I think we all need to be, it's a big room that we all use. I believe we have all the information we need from the court side on what kind of safety and security procedures need to be there. They are definitely telling us that it's more technology now on the court, from what I'm being told, according to our administrator. So we make sure that we had, like I said, we had the screens, we have the technology, so they can. I'm going to say Zoom, but I know it's not the right one. Zoom into the prison, to the jail, so they can do all their hearings with any of the defendants that are there. And then, of course, what mayor and council feels that we need to make sure that we have on our side as well. So that's why we're seeing that, and I definitely want to move forward and finish that project and have that done for the for the near future. Artie, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Sandra just had a question about the connector for the generator. What's that generator powered with? Is that powered by natural gas or gasoline?
Diesel.
Diesel. And we have a diesel tank that we can pump, that we can get fuel from for that generator?
Yes, DPW has our diesel tank on site.
Okay.
Do we need any trucks or equipment for the DPW?
I mean, this year, we're trying to, I mean, maybe next year, I'm looking to probably replace two of our trucks. There is one of our pickup trucks is really at the edge, but I think we could probably last another year. And there is also one of our Mason trucks also is coming down to the end. So maybe next year we'll be shooting to get a couple more trucks to replace those.
Well, like, are there any items on beyond that? I mean, I guess let me ask a better question. Are there any other items on the capital plan that are up for this year? Look, you guys, I've been a councilman here for 12 years. So the HVAC system has been $17,000 for 10 years. And the town hall courtroom has been $280,000 for the last 6. And we've decided not to do it 6 years in a row. So I'm trying to understand what the exact requests are from the DPW, other than the 2 items that have been on there and moved from year to year for the last 6 years. I know there's a 5-year capital plan I looked at last year. And to be quite honest, a year ago, Madam Director, obviously you knew that I wasn't particularly happy about the budget submissions from the DPW department. And I'll be honest with you, to come back, and I made my point, I left you alone for a year to let you do your thing. But I mean, there's not, you don't have any actual requests on here for your department. There's just the 2 things that get carried from year to year.
There is, I mean, we have pretty much, I guess, caught up with a lot of the equipment that we need. I mean, we purchased a lot since I've been here, as you are aware, Councilman Cannon. You know, we have purchased a lot of equipment, a lot of trucks and stuff. So I think so far we are pretty much doing very well for what we have. Like I say, maybe a couple of trucks for next year that we would like to replace, just because, you know, they're on the last, on the last leg on them. But everything else is pretty much straightforward. We have, I mean, the plows and things like that we have done or purchased last year. We really didn't use much of that money. We didn't really have to do it, thank God. This year we have a very bad storm, and everything functioned pretty well throughout the snow season. So like I say, it's pretty much standard, like you're saying, just the 2 items for keeping up with the HVAC at town hall that is always going on. But I believe we're pretty much going to be complete or finished maybe in 1 more year for very minor stuff. And just the courtroom, that's something that, yes, you're right, it's been on the books, but we were put on hold last year. Hopefully we can complete that this year.
Okay. So, I mean, all the equipment for the DPW, we have everything. But then, I mean, I guess what process is undertaken here for example, the water and sewer list is the exact same thing as last year as well. So, but like, I know that the Jersey Avenue water tower rusts more and more every year, but that's not on the capital request item here. So I'm not really sure what review we're doing to come up with the list that we get, because all the items are just carried from last year. So I'm not sure what happened in the last year that If you tell me nothing, I'll accept nothing. But I know the Jersey Avenue water tower has been rusting year by year. So that was one thing that I expected to be on a water capital plan at some point. But that's where I'm coming from, is just, if I come here and look at the same thing every year, why am I showing up here? I mean, that's kind of my question. It was a question I asked last year, and now I'm asking the same question again, because I'm here again.
Well, for the water, let's see, if you want to go to the water and sewer, Councilman Cannon, the water and sewer, on the water, we did add a couple of items in there, being the auto dialers, which is something that measures the levels of the tanks that we need, and that's all requirement by DEP.
These are all maintenance items. We pay for all this every year. Like, this is all the same stuff. Like, I know I've been here for 12 years. I know how the water system works. We do the same line rehabilitations bit by bit every year. Like, I'm aware of all the capital plan. But like, when do we decide that it's time to paint the Jersey Avenue water tower? Like, who reviews that in the department?
I believe, Councilman Cannon, the painting of the water tower, of the water tank, was first put in the budget. Maybe I want to say probably 3 years ago when I started it, about 3 years ago, and it is a cost that is about $750,000, rough number on it. And the first year was put on the side, and the second year was put on the side. So it's something that, although we can wait, it could be at one point, one item tickets for maybe 2022 or 2023. But at this point, it is fine as it is. The inspection report that we got last year from the company that did the inspection on the tanks showed that it was,
Right,
like
but
I
Madam
say,
Director, that's precisely my point, is that of course it's not going to fall down. I'm sure the water tower inspection report is fine, or we'd have them, it would be on my list. But there's got to be someone riding around the town other than me looking at the rusting green guardrail down Ocean Boulevard and Lake, the only part that hasn't been replaced, or South Atlantic Avenue, which was my idea to replace after I had a car accident there, or all these items around town. Well, yeah, the guardrail will stop people from driving into the bay, but it doesn't really reflect that great on Aberdeen Township that it's chipping and painted 3 different colors. So if I just come back here every year and I buy the same line rehabilitation every year and we do this kind of review, how do we ever get the guardrail fixed on Ocean Boulevard? How does that happen? If I don't drive around and then berate the manager into either signing a contract or having the DPW do it, how does that happen? Because I thought that was here. And in the past, to be honest with you, before you, it was here with Mr. Lauro and Mr. Brady, and it hasn't been for the last 3 years. That was my complaint last year, and I let it sit for an entire year. And I don't have a single thing in the town that, and I understand that your job is to make sure the water tower doesn't fall down, but it's also to make sure the town looks right. And that water tower might be structurally sound, but it looks terrible. And so does the guardrail and all those things. And none of those ever appear on this list year after year. And I feel like that's an enormous flaw in our process, or we just don't do that. And in which case we need to, if that makes sense.
It's good that you touched the fact about the guardrails. I'm actually going to be replacing the guardrails down at Fisherman's and along Ocean Boulevard and along all these dead ends. We started every year under the maintenance. That doesn't go into capital. That goes in a maintenance. Okay. So it is part of my operating budget, and I go around and we change some of those guardrails, and we did a lot last year. So this year we'll have that section of Fisherman's and Ocean Boulevard and all the dead ends on Cliffwood Beach replaced to complete that loop, and then we'll move to the other one. So every year I do stuff like that. I don't think that's part of the capital because there's a 5-year, I believe, from what I understand, it's usually something that's going to last more than 5 years. And like you're saying, if you happen to an accident, that thing is going to be damaged, so I just go replace it as a maintenance item and not as a capital item per se.
Okay.
If I can just jump in real quick, Councilman. Sandra, the 2 vehicles that you're looking at, and I think at one point we were even discussing possibly excuse me, I'm sorry. Possibly at some point a front end loader, because one of the front end loaders I believe is on its last leg also. maybe we should look into that because I believe according to Angela, and she can jump in and say yes or no to me on this one, the MCIA consortium here to do it is only every 2 years.
Yes.
So if we want to try to get the better interest and better opportunities for us, I think we may want to put that into this year's number. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Put it into this year's number to get the better choices for us, and then not have to worry about that as much next year. I mean, if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, then tell me. But I think maybe we might want to try to get those numbers and see if that works into our plan.
No, that's a good idea, Brian, because it is a pool lease equipment agreement every 2 years. So the next time they'll be doing it in 2023. So, and it is only for equipment and removable items. So if there is something that you would need for next year, it probably would be a good bet to put it in this year. By the time we close, it'll be the end of the year. You can start ordering it and have it for next year.
Okay.
Brian?
All right. That's good to
Yes,
know.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and Sandra, thank you so far for everything.
You're welcome, sir.
You mentioned 2 trucks, and listen, I understand, but you said, I can get another year out of them. But our process would mean 2 years in effect. So, we pride ourselves that your department does a fantastic job on snow removal. Those two trucks that you're mentioning, saying, well, I think I can get another year out of them. Are those both snow plowers also?
Yes, Mayor. Every vehicle that I have has a plow. Yes, Mayor.
Yeah, so then would we all feel more comfortable if you were to say, let's put 1 truck in now? By the time you get it, it'll be the end of next year. Before we know it, we'll be going into winter time again. And I hate to have to hear that a truck or 2 has broken down because we thought we quote get another year out of it. This will be the year we're going to get out of it. And then before we know it, we're going to be back in winter. And we should have tip-top equipment because you guys do a tip-top job and our residents know it. So can we look into maybe replacing one of the 2 trucks?
Okay.
You-
Yes,
you know,
Mayor.
Brian?
I'm in agreement, especially if I can get it onto the MCIA instead and add to that if it's under their checklist. I would rather do it that way because yes, Mayor, you make a good point that even if you put the order in now, it's a good 6 to 8 months away from us getting it. Where you're right, it's going to be a 2022 item at this point.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Sandra.
No problem, sir.
Any other council member? Okay. Just gonna continue down the list. Kind of a simple one here, planning and zoning and building UCC. John's favorite here is the data and document management. Again, we're trying to stay digital. And John, do you have anything to say, or basically it's our status quo of trying to get everything digitized from your office?
Every year we scan our documents, we're required by law to retain for at least 10 years, or the in some situations. We have a contract with a company that scans our closed files from the prior year. And we've been dealing with them for the past 15 years. A great job for us. And that's $7,000 a year for all.
And just to piggyback off of John, I know the police department also has digitizing their files in there as well. We are kind of looking at tax assessor would like to do some of his also. We kept being told, and I think I've said this already to you guys, so I apologize if I'm like a broken record. They keep saying that we may be getting some more CARES Act money. I believe it's possibly in with the stimulus package that was passed yesterday. And if we do get some more from CARES Act money, we would try to do a full digitizing program here, because that would qualify for reimbursement under CARES Act funding, to help out more with construction, the PD side, and especially tax assessor, because he has a full amount of files that need to be addressed. So I know we're working on that to try to keep all that together. But the more we can digitize and data is better for us. It's actually easier in the manpower to track things down and pull stuff, and it reduces the paper element here in town hall for storage.
And as you do, you know that we're in the process of the zoning boards digital, and I'll say that ton of people.
Correct, right, with the digitizing everybody over, correct. Thank you, John. Any major questions on digitizing? All right, then we'll go over to the police side. And Chief Geyer is here, of course. So Chief, if you want to kind of do a little run through of what you have here, and Angela then may have to jump in because she has some ideas with some of the financing as well.
Oh, excuse
Okay,
me.
I'll stop.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I leave or have to stay? The gas company just showed up over here.
Why don't you take care of the gas company, and if I need you, I'll call you back to come back
All
on.
right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll start with the police cars. We were asking for 3 police cars under the Capitol. Now, the amount that I have on here is 176,000, but I know there was money from capital accounts last year that Angela was looking into, so I don't know what that price is now. The body armor, we're looking for 10,000. Unfortunately or fortunately, those are up to 900, almost $1,000 a piece. 10,000 would keep us current. I have a running log on when they're due. They're due every 5 years to get replaced. The record scanning, as Brian mentioned, we threw 15,000 in there. I don't know if that was correct, because I know Rick had some talks with some people, and I think there's a whole measurement thing on the cabinets. That's how they give you the price. The other thing, in connection with the record scanning, once that stuff gets scanned, we're looking to take over half of the records room in the back to make that new office space for a new office, because we're running out of space over here. The last thing that I have is something I discussed with the manager and with Angela, is the watch guard, or actually, I keep saying watch guard, it's actually Motorola bought them out, the body cams. Now, I gave a proposal to Angela on how to pay for it. I think the rough estimate is 150, but they give you the option of paying it over 5 years. And I know she said she was going to check into it to see what's the best bet to do with that. Now, again, what's good about it is if we take their 5-year plan, not only is it unlimited cloud storage, so we wouldn't have to worry about servers anymore, because we currently have a server for our cameras in the cars, but they actually replace the body cams. Like, we're shooting for 40 body cams. In 3 years, they would give us 40 brand new body cams. So it's a pretty good deal. But again, I don't know what the best way to fund it.
Angela, you want to jump in first? Do you want me to say something? You're muted. Angela, you're muted. All right, so I'm going to say something quick. I want to bounce back with the chief on the body worn cameras. That's a state mandate that we have to fulfill within a certain amount of time. But of course, with any mandate, they tell you they may give you some money. There's a small pot of, I think, about $58 million that we can apply for to get some to help with the payments of this. But of course, even for our size town, that's not going to cover what we need to cost to pay for all these, because they have to be for every officer. You have to get the recording equipment and so forth, so forth. So, of course, this is something that was mandated down recently, and now we're in the process of trying to work to get this taken care of. So that's why we don't see it totally yet on the capital project list yet, because there are some questions of how we can pay for it. If it's going to be able to be done under capital, would it have to go under regular general budget because of the payment plans. So Angela is working with our bond attorneys and the auditor to find out how we can actually do that without having any issues with the budget, but we will have to implement this at some point. Am I correct there, Angela, or wrong?
I would say at the very least, perhaps we could put the first payment of, what is it, 26,000 into the operating budget. And if there's some alternate way that we could do it, then we can switch it out and put it under capital. I just don't think it's gonna work under capital. But I'll reach out to, a few people.
And you just want to explain what we're going to do, which you're amending some ordinances to take care, to move some additional money to the police department?
Yes, there's additional monies left over in prior ordinances for different items. So you could actually pick up a police car out of them. I'll have the ordinance amended. And you could also cover all three of these items: the office space, the body armor, and the record scanning out of what's left over in prior year. I mean, a couple of them, there's just a little amount, but you still have like breath testing equipment and fingerprint scanning, logging software, and so forth. So if once you take all of those and add them up, you got plenty of money.
Yeah, but please don't talk about that breath testing. That's coming. That's coming. I got to keep 20 G in there. If they tell me tomorrow it's coming next week, I have to have 20,000.
Okay.
It was coming 3 years ago and it's still coming.
It's okay. It's coming. It's been 3 years now.
Yep.
Okay. I'll leave it in there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief?
Do we have a 7110, chief, an Alcatraz 7110?
Yes.
Okay. It still works?
Drager is the one who, got the bid. I have no idea what the holdup was. Almost 2
The
years.
special master has to approve the 9350, the new one.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
The board hasn't done it yet.
But we were supposed to be one of the forefronts on testing it, and it never came. And every time we have a trooper come in to work on ours periodically to check it, make sure it's working. And even they're starting to get a little nervous because as these machines get older, Drager's not going to take care of them anymore or fix it. And that's why, we had to go to a new system and they had to get 3 bids. And thank God they went with Drager. So our officer's only going to have to do a half a day recert, because it's basically the same thing. But instead of liquid, it's going to be gas. And our guys will not even have to change the liquid every time it kicks out because the troopers will come in and do it. But what I'm worried about right now is that if that were to go, every time we get it drunk, we have to go to another town.
Well, yeah, and that's happening places because the motherboards in the old ones, once they break, they can't be replaced. Because they're not making them anymore because they expected the 9350 to be here already. Right, so once it breaks now, you'll have to take people to Mattawan or Hazlitt. There's no way around it until the 9350. So
I mean, our guys, believe me when I tell you, our guys are onto it because like for any reason, and it could be for a reason you don't understand, we could bring a guy in tonight and he'll kick out the machine. Well, there's not enough time to change everything. So our guys know to go to Hazlitt, Mattawan, Keyport. That's already being done. It's just that I hope they, get this new one in place so we can move forward.
Damn lawyers.
And then he goes mute. Look how quick he did that one.
Yeah.
He was fast on the trigger.
Yeah, I like the way how fast he is. Quick draw.
Any other questions for the chief on PD?
Yes, Chief, are you planning on hiring any police officers anytime soon?
No, sir. But when I say that, we're not hiring full-time. We're getting ready to hire 2 Class 2s that need to be replaced because one resigned and one went on to another department. They're going for their psychologicals at the end of the month. So hopefully by the end of this month, we'll be hiring two new Class 2 specials.
Thank you.
And they're part-time.
Thanks.
Okay, on the administration side, which is our usual kind of setup, We do have a line for furniture, filing cabinets, chairs, desks, which Angela is able to put under the MCIA for 20. And then, of course, computer equipment, which we basically, I think we pretty much depleted from the 2020 year. And then luckily we had the COVID CARES Act to supplement some of those fees at 75. And again, she's able to put that under MCIA for us for this year, hopefully. So that'll be, normal. I have to say, excuse me, Marie and Angela did a great job with the computer turnovers for last year's, the amount of people that had to get new computers for last year for ones that were obsolete because of the operating system and everything. So Angela or Marie especially, but Angela backing her up on it, has a good schedule of what has to get turned out every year and what has to be implemented as new computers back into everybody. So that's under the administration side going forward. Any questions there? Any thoughts? All right. And I have to get it back on the phone here. Shoot. I just have to get the director back on because we have to just finalize any reviews on the water and the sewer side to finish up there, and then we'll be okay. So if you just give me mind me 1 minute, let me just call back.
Well, this might be a good opportunity to say that if anybody should have any questions when this meeting comes to a conclusion, whether you're seeing it on YouTube or live right now, you can send your questions to Brian Russell, Town Manager, and we'll be sure to get you any clarification on anything you're hearing today. So you can send him an email at the conclusion, the next day, whatever, and we'll certainly get back to you with any questions that you have, clarifications that you need.
Yep, my email is bryan.russell@aberdeenNJ.org. Just send an email. We'll gladly answer any questions. I'd like to follow up on the recreation side. The basketball courts are reconstruction, not resurfacing. They're reconstruction. So we will definitely be taking care of that. And like I said, I will become the basketball czar on this project to make sure everything gets squared away properly on that one. So we just had the wording wrong on our sheet of paper, but it is reconstruction. And I'm just waiting for the director to come back on, and we'll just finish up with the water and sewer really, because I know we started to talk a little bit there and get that squared away.
Well, yeah, hey Brian, while we have this interlude, you can let me back in. I'm gonna switch over to my phone. So
Yeah.
I have a doctor's appointment in a little bit.
Angela, did you hear anything about the audit?
I spoke with AJ yesterday, and he said towards the end of this week or the beginning of next week, he's going to come and meet with us. And he also did have to coordinate with the prior auditors about some changes they had to make.
Okay, because we never got the last one.
Yeah, the 2019, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right.
Sandra's back on, but I'll just wait for the councilman to click over, Mayor, if you're okay with that.
Certainly.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to click, to pop back up again. When he clicked off, Sandra clicked on, so they lost him at the same time almost.
Good, good. Well, instead of silence, we might be able to make another quick announcement that we're very pleased to have received approximately 250 phone calls and emails about senior citizens looking for help to get onto a landing page for their vaccine. So in conjunction with our state senator and assembly people, we are compiling a list. It's a good feel-good story. So we're going to be getting those names to them by week's end, so that hopefully some of our senior citizens can get a call from one of the vaccination centers here in Monmouth County. So speaking with them, they're very thankful, and we feel just as good in helping them as they feel in getting the call. So we're working on that also. And that's a good thing. In fact, almost everybody on this screen is playing a role in that. And I thank them and other folks. So it's real good. And Brian, thanks for organizing the phone number and the email for that.
Nope. And again, also same to all of you. You all reached out, jumped into where you guys could be used the best. So as I said, you guys have been great and are in my in the bullpen, ready to be called as soon as I need you in a certain spot. So it's you've been wonderful.
Are we waiting for Greg? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I thought he said he was popping back on. He was just had to switch from one item to the next. I will just double check just to make sure of that, and if not, we'll continue.
All right. And we're going to be on water, right?
We have water and sewer just to do a final review of. Yes.
Maybe I'll be so bold as to ask this because he'll probably jump on and hear the answer. I'm just looking across the year amounts on the bottom of the page. And of course, I like about 4 or 5 of them out of 6. And I can see that we have an incredible jump in 2022, Sandra. And is there anything we can do in spreading that number out a little bit, maybe this year, 23, because you got the 600,000 all in 22, and that's going off like a blinking light right now. And I see what 450 of it is. Can any of that be done now and take a little bit from 22 and put it into 21 if the manager and CFO agree with that thinking? But that's a heck of a jump to go from 100 to 600,000 back down to 150, because we never know what's going to happen in 2023. But it's an incredible difference in the numbers in those three years.
Mayor, are you talking about water or sewer?
Water. You have a $450,000 item for 2022, which makes that a $600,000 year. And I see 100 right now for 2021, and then a string of 150s from 23 to 26. And I'm just wondering if any of that 450, instead of putting a burden on next year, can any of this work be done now or right into 2023?
Angela, could you help me here to clarify what the mayor's is saying about the 450? What is that? Is that the Mindstar project?
No, that's water tanks, painting, surfacing, conditioning, corrosion.
So I think that's what the councilman was speaking about earlier, right? Yeah.
And that's what the councilman had brought up about 12 minutes ago. And we've got to that page, and that is a number that is just blinking red lights at me. Angela, could something like that be done? Or Sandra, because that's under your department? Any of that work?
Well, what you're looking at, Sandra, is the annual tank testing for condition, rust, the carotid protection. Perhaps you could break it out as far as, I don't know what type of testing you do, maybe to do it this year.
I don't see that. I'm sorry. I just got a copy of just the page that shows 2021. I don't have the page that shows 2022.
Yeah, the one that you submitted for the individual water department, where you break it down into 4 or 5.
Yeah, but on the 2021 is only 100,000. Am I correct?
Yes.
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 And
on
2022, you're up to 600,000 because you have a $450,000 item called annual tank testing for condition, rust, cracks, deterioration.
Yeah, that's the painting, Mayor. That's the painting
Yes.
we were talking about with Councilman Cannon. So that's a big ticket
Exactly.
item.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking is, can any of the 450 be done?
Done like like we're doing with with the roads. Can we do that in a phase where is there a portion of that that we can do this year in 2021?
No.
Then two, so that has to it's all one thing.
It's a one-time deal because they are actually going to paint the tank, and the cost of painting and repairing any cracks or whatever else that is in there, it's gonna cost about 700,000. There is no, I'm gonna do the, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna do the legs and maybe I'll come back for the footing and I'll do the actual tank itself. You know what I mean? It's a whole unit that gets done at one time.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying to Councilman Cannon. Maybe a one ticket item like that big can just be the only thing done on 1 year, just because it's such a big cost. Do you follow what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've answered it. If it's something that has to be done all at one time to encompass the entire procedure.
Absolutely,
well,
yes.
That's the answer then, and I thank you for that answer.
Okay.
All right, so Sandra, if you want to just continue and just explain what we got here with the auto dialers and our, where else we're doing here.
Yeah, we just have the auto dialers. Like I was saying, those are items that you see now. DEP, it's actually wanting that all these subsurface infrastructure, meaning in the water and the sewer, are somehow located and are somehow how do I say acquainted for by the utilities to manage them. So for example, we have 2 water tanks, one on Overlook and one at Jersey Avenue. We have 50 pumping stations. I'm just giving you a whole thing of what we have. So now DEP really wants to have us to really know exactly what our systems are composed of, how they're behaving. So in the auto dialers, basically it's an apparatus that communicates with the utility supervisor or myself and say, all right, we having an issue now. Okay, the levels are low. Remember, Mayor, like a couple years ago, we had that issue with the valve that was opened and nobody knew what was happening.
That was off of Cliff Avenue, right? Wasn't that off of
Exactly, off of County Road, Mayor?
County Road? Yeah, we're all looking for leaks and couldn't find any.
Exactly, and it was like gallons and gallons of water leaving, and we didn't know what happened. So if we would have an apparatus that will report it back to us and say, listen, the tanks are fine, or we get in the water is is going out like crazy out of the valves, blah, blah, blah. So now we'll have a better understanding of what we were in front of. So that's what that is.
Good.
Since we have two locations in town, that's what we have, the two items, that's $5,000 a piece. Now the hydrants and valves, that's all a maintenance item. That's actually when a hydrant gets hit, a valve needs to be replaced. That all is just an amount of money that we have there. Hydrants could be run from like $3,000, $4,000. So there it is. With the
Sandra?
water meters and MXUs, we had replaced with the system that what was put in last year. We finished replacing every single existing water meter. Okay, that's what that was for. Now, every year, new developments come up. So we need to have that. Yes, Angela.
I just printed out the water capital. And we do, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this to you the other day, but we do have money left over in the 2017 and the 2018 ordinance, which will cover both of these items. And I specifically looked at the ordinance. The ordinance does say acquisition and installation of water meters, hydrants, and valves. So you have 48,000 left in the core and main PO, plus another 43,000 left in the water meter replacement items. So they should be able to negate the first two items.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. All right, good.
So we'll cross those two out, the 40 and the 15.
Okay. And the other one is the subsurface. It's called utility infrastructure mapping. Again, that is a requirement. DEP goes back to, they want to know exactly the location of all the basins, the meters, the hydrants, the valves, the manhole. This is a combination between water and sewer, I'm talking. So this is a system that allows us to, it's like a software, basically, that allows us to send one of the guys out with even their phone. I believe that's how simple that becomes. That is in there, and they can say, all right, the hydrant at the corner of Lake and First, for example, and they have a point, a data, a location based on the datum, and now it's sent back to the satellite, and that has a location on this specific item. And then they want to have the entire municipality in the next 2 years up to date, so that they can visually locate any of these structures within the municipality. So that's what that 35 is there for that software that we will need to get access and locate our items. Everybody, do you hear me?
Yeah, no, we got you. We hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Sorry. Okay, so that's what that is for. In regards to the actual mapping software. Okay, that's what's about water. Do you want me to go into sewer?
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sewer. Angela, that is not really televising equipment. It's only line rehabilitation. So basically what we are going to be doing is lining the sewer lines. Okay. Couple years ago, the council approved the budget for getting ourselves a newer televising camera, which we've been using for the past couple years, and is working great because now we are able to locate areas of that are, in danger of becoming a problem. So out of those, we located we have 3 locations, I'm sorry, that we would like to line the pipes with. And the idea is every time the guys go out, they make a report and they find these areas that will require to be lined, so that the following year we go back and we do that. Okay, that's what that is for there. pump replacement in each station. That's something that we call every day because, when actually, just to give you an example, on pump station number 5, the both pumps went down this year. I mean, just now, maybe 3 weeks ago. So, and the replacement of those pumps right there, it was about $25,000. So it's something that when they go in very costly item. Manhole rehabilitation in there, it's the repair, not the repair, the actual installation of new manholes at couple of locations, including the lining of those manholes themselves. So we have 2 or 3 locations in town that are needed like ASAP. And what happened here is when sewer fumes are built up, they create a methane fumes, which pretty much eats the manholes inside. All right, so it becomes very a safety concern as the manholes, as year by year they get exposed to those fumes, they become less stable, and for that reason we need to, in some instances, totally replace them or line them. Okay, and I believe on my little spreadsheet I point out the location of them. I want to say something on Beverly Place and something at right out of the pump station number 3, which I'm not mistaken, on Prospect. Okay, so those are those items in there. Okay, pump station number 3 rehab. Last year I was given some money for that, and this is additional work that we're going to be doing at the station, which includes some drainage work that has to be done. So the contractor who will be doing the actual work on the stations is able to do all the drainage, pretty much put a new basins, new under drains, and grade the area properly so that we don't have that station underwater as it is right now, because of it sits in the very low area, and the hills around it, all the water drains out and tends to sit there and not go anywhere. So in the summertime is very much like a mosquito breed area. So we wanted it, keep it dry. That additional work, that money is what I'm talking to you about.
Sandra, excuse me, you need 50,000 in addition to what's left over from
Yeah, I think we have 120.
Yeah,
Yes,
you need another 50.
yes.
Okay.
The next one is the auto dialer, but now this is for the stations. So what I did was I'm doing 5 stations at a time. So hopefully in the period of 3 years, I will get every single station with the new auto dialers, the new system in place. Now we have a pump station. The last item is $7,000. That is for new cameras. We have our two main pumping stations, meaning on Cliffwood and Noble. They do not have cameras. Jersey Avenue doesn't have a camera either, and those are the stations in where we also store equipment. We have the vectors, we have the valve cleaners, we have the sweeper, all these hydrants and valves that we store in this building. So we would like to have them camera, as currently we don't have anything at this premises, and that's what the $7,000 is for. And that's all I have.
Where's station 3 again?
The station 3 is off of Prospect Avenue.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay, thank you. I remember now. I know where I'm at.
We have 2 on Prospect Avenue. One is station 2, and the other one is station 3.
Okay.
And Sandra, you still have money left over in last year's for pump replacements?
About 20 something?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have to put in the pumps that just went down. maybe. That money probably hasn't been encumbered or something. I don't quite remember right now off the top of my head.
Something's encumbered for 15, but in addition to the 15, you have 24.
Yeah, yes.
So, so the 40 is for additional replacements? Because you said, I think you said, is that the one that you're doing every so many a year?
No, the 40 are for the pumps, Brian. Sometimes we're able to replace some of the refurbish some of the pumps that will go down. We have the problem is that we have 15 stations, and when a pump is failing, we have to replace it. You know what I mean? So because there's so many of them, sometimes I mean I believe last year we bought we got a pump, and for some reason the pump only lasted X amount of months, and we have to get another one. You know, once it goes off the warranty, it's just, you know, it's just a new one that we have to purchase. And these things are pretty expensive. You know, these things can, like I said, I think the least one, the one that costs the less is probably about $9,000, $12,000. Then everything else is pretty much much more expensive than that.
Any questions from mayor and council?
No, but while Sandra's got the floor and Angela is on the line, just want to make sure that my notes that we pick up a truck in the 2021 year, okay? To replace those two that you're saying are somewhat iffy.
I wrote it
Okay.
on I have it on my notes as well, Mayor.
Thank you so much.
So if I would like to, I think me and Angela have to just go back and scrub this just a little bit for everybody with some of the changes that we just made today
Right.
during this, and then we'll resend that out to you all to see those numbers with some of the changes of the additions and subtractions, and get them. So hopefully we'll have that to you guys maybe Monday, Tuesday, the latest, because I know I'm gonna have to get a couple extra numbers. Councilman Cannon, when you had to sign off to switch your machines, I did get clarification that Ross and Midland Park basketball courts are reconstructions, not resurfacing. Just so you have,
great.
just so you have that for your notes. And then, like I said,
I had one.
Yep, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Are we gonna restart the street sweeping schedule in 2021?
Yes,
As
we
well?
just waiting. Yeah, yes, we do. We probably will be starting. I know this week is a good week, but next week I hear it's gonna be less than 40 degrees. So we're trying to keep it maybe by the end of the month or the beginning of April.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Once we have that schedule again put back in place, once the weather changes, because I know I asked about the street sweepers too, going out, and it's recommended that we don't use them under 40 degrees with the tubes and everything freezing. That was one of my things I had from a week ago, which I've learned now. Once we have that schedule set up, of course, we'll put that out again on all of our social media sites to prepare everybody that the sweeper will be out and about and start doing the cleanings.
Yep.
Anyone else with questions? Mayor, I turn it back over to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, everyone who's participated today. We've had some good questions, great presentations. So what I'm going to do, say for the last time, anyone who has any questions or would like any clarification on anything that we discussed today, please email Brian Russell at the address of
bryanrussell@aberdeen.nj.org.
Terrific, very good. So we'll look to see if we get any questions. I think we've come to a conclusion, right, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn. From anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
Terrific.
Second.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, very much for participating today. And we'll wait to hear from the updated numbers, Brian. Thank you so very much.
Thank you all for meeting with us today and for accommodating to do it earlier in the day to go over everything. So I appreciate that to all of you as well.
Okay, and we'll get it up on YouTube, right? So
Yeah,
that,
yeah, so as soon as, and recording right now, so it's still saying, so as soon as they send me the copy, I have a feeling it's gonna be a long download for the timing of, I'm watching. But we'll have it up hopefully, if not today, or, sorry, if not tomorrow, Monday, as soon as I
Sure.
get it, as soon as they send it back to me.
very good. Thank you so very much, everyone. Have a
Thank you,
great day.
everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Have a good
Bye.
week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.